Hall Forum. Probably won't be the last. I think we know enough of the topics that I can speak freely on it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've accomplished, and then just really open it up to the floor for questions. Let me acknowledge Councilwoman Jody Gagney's here, and that's all I see in the room right now. And we have a Board of Finance member, Jade Carrier, here as well. Just a few things that we've done through the last term and into this term is, as everyone's well aware, we've attacked light head-on. We've taken down close to 50 structures. We have a police force that's just about at full force. We had a retirement. We have brought on 2 motorcycle cops. Economic development, we've gone pretty aggressive on that. We have POTS coming in. We have a new company that just signed a letter of intent, IMCO. That's coming in from Berlin. We have GMN. We're currently working with a company that's in the process of trying to buy a building on Birch Street, which is going to move their business from Waterbury to Bristol. That's going to bring about 25 employees in. Bingham and Connell was sold. Those are going into senior housing. As everyone's aware, we have social media, very big on that, between Facebook and Twitter. We have implemented a senior tax volunteer credit. We brought in the Bristol Blues. That last year, first year, brought in into over 40,000 people through the gate. The West End realignment is moving forward. That was nothing new that's been talked about, but we're finally doing it. The surveying should be complete by the end of April, and then the design work will happen. So that is in the works. We're in City Hall. We've implemented, in the process of implementing automated payroll. Right now, every department has to fill in a timesheet. Every department head signs it. We're going with Kronos. That's currently being implemented. We moved probate. Probate is now at the senior center. They're happy. Everything worked out great there. And that's allowing us now to reorganize City Hall, something that hasn't been done in a long time. We're going to have all the land use on the second floor. Fire marshal, planning, BDA, building. Those will all be on the inland wetlands. Those will all be on the second floor. Building department now has credit cards. That's been talked about for a while, but never was done. We've implemented full-day kindergarten. Memorial Boulevard. We hired an architect. They're currently working on designs. We've hired a construction manager for Memorial Boulevard. So that project is in the works. Once they come up with designs, we'll know what the project is going to cost, and then we will go into the 10-year capital improvement and see how we're going to fund it and what's going to happen. But first we have to have a hard number on that. Engine Company 4 renovation is on track and on budget. Engine Company 5 renovation is on track and on budget. And on Engine Company 5, I have to thank Kara Pavlik and Whit Betts, who just walked in, Representative Whit Betts, working in conjunction with Representative Betty Bokas, brought us a $260,000 grant. Muzzy Field is currently going through another phase of construction. We're putting the press box in, and we're putting overhanging pavilion going over the first base side. Let me also recognize Councilman Dave. Thank you. Gillespie. I saw Councilman Brown is here and Councilman Fortier. I think that's Fortier. So I think that's all we have here. I know Dave Representative Witt, and I know Dave Mills had a Board of Ed tonight. Who am I missing?
Jody.
I said Jody. Didn't I?
Yeah, you said no. It's Tony. Bottom.
And Tony is,
Not here.
he's at a meeting, I believe he's at a meeting. So that's what we've accomplished so far. A couple other things we have going on is we're working with the brownfields. As you may know, 894 Middle Street, that's city owned. That's a brownfield zone that's directly across from ESPN on the opposite corner of the diner, Louise's Diner. And we're working right now with Fuel Cell Energy they're applying to the state for an RFP to put a fuel cell plant there. They believe that the chances of getting the fuel cell, winning the RFP is very good. And that's going to bring approximately, between a lease agreement and tax, approximately around $500,000 in new tax and leases coming into Bristol every year. That'll be a 20-year contract. One other thing that happened today, which is new, is, and I'm going to read a statement. This is from Ben Barnes. Press may not even have this yet. Please, and this is from Ben Barnes from the state of Connecticut. Please be advised, this is to Bristol Hospital. Please be advised, that I have Department of Social Services, that I have asked the Department of Social Services to hold on making any additional supplement payments through either the inpatient supplement pool or the small business hospital pool. We have identified the steps needed to address this fiscal year budget deficit. While I hope to have tasks completed later this month, due to the significant drop in revenues, I am not optimistic that we will be able to move forward with any further state payments this fiscal year. This decision will impact federally qualified health centers, which will be receiving a similar letter. And what I find the most interesting part of this is he signs it, I apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. The inconvenience this is going to cause is a potential impact to Bristol Hospital for $4.8 million. This is our state. Over the last 2 years, the Bristol Hospital has taken approximately about a $5.5 million hit and had 60 layoffs due to that hit. So this is a significant hit to Bristol Hospital, which in turn is going to significantly hit our Bristol, where these employees live, work, and play. I don't know if you want to say anything to this. I know this just came down. This just came down at 3:30 today.
Yeah, I just came from the Capitol and I talked to some of the leaders. We all know until the end of March, the Republican Democratic leaders are going to get together and try and assess this. This isn't just the Bristol Hospital, but this is to all hospitals. And none of this is obviously in their budget. It could certainly put at risk the project here for downtown Bristol. It will certainly lead to a lot of layoffs. And I think a lot of the reason why this came down is it demonstrates how bad the situation is for the state. This is not a definitive thing, but if you read what Ben said, it's a very likely prospect. And the real battle is going to be between the legislature and the governor. You know, how important our community hospitals going to be in the budget to the legislature, which has been pretty supportive or indicated their support, or to the governor. And it really took us off guard. It's a shame because, you know, they still have to continue paying the tax that was imposed back in 2011. And they're really shaking their heads. I know they're having a meeting tonight to try and assess what the impact of this would be, but it's going to be, as the mayor said, it's going to be really, really bad. I'm waiting to see what the legislature is going to do in response to this, but I would be hard-pressed to believe that we're just going to allow that to happen. So it came down, and I think the other thing you'll see is the legislature, I think, is going to be forced to take a vote on that UConn contract before March 9th, because the governor sent out a letter today indicating that the state is not in a position to be able to pay for that contract, but it's up to either the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House to call a session, bring that issue up, and vote on it. If it's not done by March 9th, it automatically goes into effect, and that will be the basis for about 30 other contracts that the governor's in the process of negotiating. So this is the mayor's forum, but I want to thank him because he contacted me when he got the news as well. And you'll be hearing an awful lot about this, I'm sure, in the days to come.
Thank you, Whit. Keep in mind, Bristol Hospital is our second largest employer in Bristol. Another thing I just want to mention, then we'll get into questions, is during my first term and now second term, we have settled 4 union contracts, 1338, 233, BPSA, fire, we just did, I think we just ratified that 2 months ago, we voted on the council, and police, we are close. I'm hearing we're going to have a TA hopefully the end of this week, so we're very close on the police. So with that, I'll open up to questions. I just ask that, you know, we're all here for the same reason, let's be respectful, and I'll answer any questions. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Betts could probably answer as well, and yourself, because obviously the hospital has been talked about, and there's not been a lot of transparency going on with the city, with the hospital. Now with what's going on with the state. Was it last year or 2 years ago when the hospital was trying to be sold to
Kevin, yeah,
Was that last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And the governor did not allow, it was the governor that did not allow that to take place. So now that they're not going to give money to the hospital as promised, do you think the governor's going to change his mind and say maybe that the hospital, that would be a good idea to sell the hospital and not have it?
Well, and I'm just going to do this because I really is your forum, but He also this week went and issued an executive order that is, if I understand it correctly, will put on hold any potential acquisitions and mergers with hospitals either amongst themselves within the state or outside the state. And the one I'm thinking of in particular is L&M and Yale, I believe it is. So it's very clear, at least in my mind, based on his behavior, he's absolutely been the most anti-hospital governor that you could ever imagine. And he's put up obstacles, whether it was with tenant, whether it was with the tax, withholding money. They view it as a cash cow. And it's going to affect all of us because it's going to affect our ability to get access. It's going to affect the employees. And it's going to make it virtually impossible for a lot of hospitals to be able to move forward to upgrade their facilities. And that's why I'm going to be very interested to see what the legislature's response is going to be. It's clearly the community, no matter where you are, and this community has been particularly vocal, it's just not going to stand for that. It's very clear, at least in this area, that we want Bristol Hospital, we support Bristol Hospital, this is where we want to get our care. And that's what I think is going to be interesting to see what happens. But he absolutely has been consistent in hurting the hospitals. And I don't know, Mayor, you
So
can...
let me touch base on your comment transparency, because I find it pretty ironic that the Democrats are trying to peg this process as not being transparent. We were in executive session, and former Councilwoman Kate Matthews came up to the podium, and she spoke on that. Being an attorney and being a former councilwoman, she should know exactly what an executive session is. We don't negotiate contracts on the front page of the Bristol Press. We negotiate contracts behind closed doors. And what my office did was try to involve 6 councilmen and myself in the negotiation process. So everybody had a say on what's happening down there. I also find it pretty funny that the Democrats are leading the charge to try to kill this deal when it was the Democrats who bought the mall, had it sitting there for 10 years. 8 of the 10 years it was under a Democratic-controlled mayor. Nothing has happened. We finally get rid of Renaissance, who couldn't come up with the funding. We have a project that's going to bring a minimum of 400 people downtown every day. And you're trying to kill the deal, putting politics ahead of what's best for Bristol. And I find that very ironic.
I'm not saying, can I just respond?
Absolutely.
Sure. I'm basically not saying that. I've worked downtown from 1976 to 1998 before I left it. So I'm familiar with what was here, what has not been here. Right now, we do have a lot of hospital employees. Are they not at the Funk Building? There's, how many are in the Funk Building?
I
Does
don't know. I
anyone
can't speak to that.
I say a couple hundred employees are at least in the Funk Building and the Eagle Building, because I left there and they came in. So they already are in the area. So with that being said, if they're going to bring more employees down here, first of all, I don't want to not say I don't want the hospital on that property. I think it's absolutely fine. I don't think it belongs on that main corner of the property that faces Main Street.
We have a city planner that disagrees with you.
Well, that's fine. I'm just saying, I'm just speaking my own opinion here. Not as a Republican, Democrat, or Independent, because you really don't know how I vote. But I basically...
Tend to guess you didn't vote for me.
I'm not, no, Ken. I basically just want, like you did say, we've had 10 years or more with that property being vacant. I hear around town that we spent either $8 to $10 million so far between buying it, assessments, different things.
Absolutely correct.
That to me is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
You're absolutely correct.
So what I'm asking now is I don't want it, because now we're hearing that our hospital may not get the funding it needs. We were told when it couldn't be sold that if it didn't get the funding we needed, it was going to fail. So that did not happen because it has not failed. Now the governor's not going to give them any more money. How are they going to come up with the money to build a building and do all of this?
Well, that's a very simple
That's
question.
my
If someone
question.
asked that question at the beginning, I could have answered that question. But let's get back to the mall. The mall was bought through a Democratic Jerry Kuchar,
That's not what I'm
and
saying.
former Ellen Zappo was on that council who put this orchestrate together, having those secret meetings. So yes, you're absolutely right, there was secret meetings. How the hospital is putting this deal together is the hospital is buying the land, they are hiring an architect, and then they will go out to a design, once they have the building designed, they will go out to a developer to develop the property. The developer will own the property, they'll put all the money in, and the hospital will lease back the building. So the hospital needs to come up with no capital. So there'll be no ask of the city, as of right now, there's no ask of the city for any investment in the building, into the building. Now, I have said publicly, and I'll say it again, the city should put infrastructure in there, and we will. I believe that's our duty, to put infrastructure in our park, in our development, just like we do any other streets in the industrial park. So
We
there's,
already are gonna do infrastructure already, correct?
I've already, yeah, I mean, if it comes to full council and the board of finance, I say we should, absolutely.
Okay, but just simple infrastructure, not a lot, do you really know if the hospital can really forego this? Because then we're just putting more,
Well,
they're adding to
there's-
that 10,000.
As of right now, even if we did nothing, where the hospital building is, and we don't even know where the hospital building is being laid out, they're in the process of designing it now. So I can't even say it's gonna go from Riverside Avenue up to Main Street. I can't say it's gonna go from Riverside Avenue towards the old McDonald's. They're designing it right now with their architects. Way it sits right now, there is nothing that the city is putting into this property. We have to wait and see what's developed, and then we're gonna go from there. I mean, that's all we could do. So we have to get the design back from their architect, then from there, we'll see where the next step is.
And just, so you know, I get executive session. I was on the board of the Family Center, I've been on the board of BARC for years, so I get when you have to go in executive session, it makes sense. I have no problem with that whatsoever. So I respect you
Well,
there, Mr. Brandon, not questioning there by any
Well,
means, I get that.
when you said we weren't being
I'm just,
transparent,
even tonight, like, I'm disappointed at the showing here, because it's like, if, I only found out that this was happening tonight because I went to your council meeting and I've been getting involved. It kind of aggravates me with the whole city of Bristol that this room should be packed right now.
I'm
You're
pretty
here.
excited right now with the turnout, because that tells me everybody's pretty happy in Bristol.
Oh, gosh, I don't think they were informed.
I'm pretty happy.
I would say they weren't informed
There's
enough.
other questions.
I could just add to that a little bit. I think there's a reason why people don't come to these meetings. And this is no reflection on the mayor or the city council. When the city has these public meetings, planning meetings, zoning, workshops, what happens? You open your mouth from the public and you get chewed up and spit out. What you say doesn't matter. You are just a taxpayer, and that's what you're treated like. And the city planner in this city, and I would say that to his face if he was here, is one of the most condescending.
All right, we're not gonna go there
Well,
tonight. This is a town forum for questions for me.
Well,
We're not gonna go there tonight.
Well, I'm
This
just
is
saying.
questions to the mayor.
Why are you
You know,
talking
we're
about
having a town forum.
Well, I'm just saying,
We're not fighting
I
that.
tried to go to these meetings like you have probably too. And I've seen this gentleman over here and some of these other people that are in this room ask a simple question and get their heads taken off. And that's not right.
That's not the forum for tonight. Tonight I'm here to answer questions, so, all right, next question.
Two parts. Is the city planning on building a parking garage, and if so, where?
I can't answer that question, because right now we have no plans for anything.
Okay, second part is, which Democrats are trying to torpedo the project in the Bristol Housing downtown?
There's many. I'm not gonna name names. They're well known, they're not gonna name names.
Okay, so there's no way.
Yeah, I don't want to start a Democrat Republican thing here. I don't think this is a forum where we have questions. I have a question. And it doesn't have anything to do with whether I'm a Democrat or Republican, whether I voted for you or whether I didn't, which I did.
What's your
And I
question?
probably won't anyway next time. But you mentioned the boulevard. You said you had plans, all that. What's happening with the boulevard? I mean, all I know is you have a project for the boulevard and they're going to drop a plan. What
Well,
are
I
they
just
going
said
to
we
do?
hired an architect. We took the plan, the suggestion from the prior administration, the Memorial Boulevard Task Force, and we took that, and that's what's moved forward. That was passed to the council prior to the election, and that plan is still moving forward. That plan said hire an architect, go for an RFP, hire an architect, get a consultant, and see what the building's gonna cost, and that's what we're in the process of doing. We have changed nothing from what that plan was presented to the council prior to the election. We're moving forward with that plan.
But are you talking about the Bristol High School or the Boulevard?
Boulevard School.
Just the school about the Boulevard?
The
Because
school
I saw
itself.
the paper the other day, said they're gonna have a plan, something about one lane and.
Well, that's,
white path.
maybe I misunderstood you. I thought you were talking about the school. The boulevard itself came through the police board, and I wasn't at that meeting, I was at a budget hearing. But it came to the police board suggestion to have the boulevard one lane each way with bike lanes. And that was suggested by the traffic division of the PD.
So that wasn't included in the plan that the.
That had nothing to do with their complete different suggestions. That the boulevard itself, the driving boulevard, wasn't part of the Memorial Boulevard task force.
So that's another plan.
That's a park board issue because the boulevard is controlled by the park board.
Yeah, but it's still another plan, whether it's the park board or it's the council or whether it's you or.
Well, it's not a plan, it's gonna happen in the spring, it's gonna paint the lines.
That's gotta go to the finance board, right?
No, because all that really is painting of lines. Are you talking about the driving boulevard, Memorial Boulevard School?
The Memorial Boulevard. You just said they wanna make it one lane.
Yeah, and all they're gonna do is paint stripes in the road.
Paint job with nice white lines saying stay out of this lane, there's no certain point.
As far as I understand, yes. Now, unless the park board decides to do something else, but right now, that's what comes forward.
That's not a bad move. I'm not sure it's a good move, but
Mayor, does that go to council? No. Park board, that's under control of the park.
I got a different one, Ken. Since I hang around, I drive around, get my granddaughter education. I was a budget looking for education, and for the board of education, get a little bit more money.
What I'm told is tonight, the finance board is going to be suggesting, the finance board of the Board of Ed is going to be asking for the city, or going to be bringing forward to the Board of Finance, to the Board of Ed, to vote on to send to the Board of Finance, a 4.74% increase in the Board of Ed budget. On top of that, an additional $3 million in addition to the 4.75%. That's what they're asking for.
But that's not project, that's just for.
That's what they're asking for. I haven't seen the budget, I don't know, I'm just holding.
But also, we have the other problem is, you look at some other states around, towns around, like New Britain, since I have a son as a police officer over there, that the graduation rate in New Britain is 69%. Ours is a lot higher because we have people who actually care.
I agree. I have a son in the school system.
And you gotta give them the service.
I agree.
And you're your son's in
I
high
have a son in the school system.
Yeah,
I have a son who's in Bandon course.
Okay.
So,
I think it's important we give them, I know we can't give them everything. And I know we're probably at the end, got some insurance thing, money at the end, but I think it's important that we look.
and we've given them money every year.
Yeah.
They can say we're funded, that's not true, we're not funded.
No, I'm not saying, but
Yeah.
we always, they ask for so much, and we always give them a little.
Every
I know-
department has a wish list
Yeah.
outside the Board of Ed too. It's just a matter of what we can afford.
What I'm seeing, the state of Connecticut, despite how the economy is going and they're almost busted, they've increased the ECS funding to Bristol from 50 million to 54 million.
I can't, I haven't seen that.
That's projected,
Yeah.
all right, from the state. What I'm concerned about is if the state cuts back 20 million to Bristol or so,
Mhm.
they give Britain 90 million or some foolish thing, you know?
It's going to get cut. We know it's a matter of, the state has to make cuts. There's no.
Oh, I know.
And I was at the Capitol yesterday for a good part of the day, and I was told, and I haven't even had a chance to talk to Whit on this yet, that they're going to come out probably within next week and say the state is in deeper debt than $1 billion. That number is very conservative, I'm told. And that was right from the comptroller.
I believe it.
So how does that affect your budgets with the state?
Because we get different funding from the different pilot programs, different funds coming from the state. So if they cut back the money that they give to the cities for different programs and different things, then we have to absorb that somehow.
But we are on the same fiscal calendars. No, we're not, right? Okay.
Our budget is passed before we know exactly what we're getting from the state, which also makes it difficult. Because we're going by what they think they're going to give us. And some years as a councilman, we've gotten more than we thought, which is great. And there was other years where we've gotten a little bit less, and we just have to deal with it. I wish they did this before, but I think that was a bill. I don't think it got committee.
I've introduced it twice, but there's been no appetite.
Yes. They are, for the two fields,
$1.5 and $1.3.
thank you. Thank you. There you go.
Okay, so you're talking about $2.8 together, $2.8 million for two
fields that are going to last about 10 years. So it's going to cost us taxpayers $280,000 a year for 10 years just to sit there. Forget about the ongoing maintenance and all other good stuff. Not to mention the increase in injuries and severity of injuries.
Well, they're going to last longer than 10 years, and this is something that people as a whole have been pushing.
Well, there's a select group that are pushing.
It still has to go through before the Board of Finance. We have another meeting, I think in a couple of days on it, before it goes to the Board of Finance. It will be at the next Board of Finance meeting. So that would be a good place to come and talk
Well,
about
you're
your
the lead negotiator in town, so 2.8 million, $280,000.
I am not the negotiator when it comes to money. We have a Board of Finance Chairwoman, she's the one who controls the money.
You've never been bashful about it.
Never. Another question?
Yeah, Ken, I don't think it's indisputable that they last for 10 years. There's a lot of, and this is not anecdotal, it's real, coming apart, degraded.
Well, again, the place to come to the Board of Finance meeting. Malone in this room is going to give a presentation. They're going to talk about the chrome rubber. They're going to talk about the different types of rubber. I've learned more about synthetic fields than I ever thought I would know. So I urge you, and I know you'll be there, come to the Board of Finance meeting, and they're going to give a whole presentation, and I'm sure they're going to be public. I mean, I don't set the agenda on the Board of Finance, but I'm sure there's going to be public participation.
I don't think it's appropriate to definitively say 10 years in front of us right here.
I've been told it lasts longer. I mean, I'm only going by what the experts tell me.
Okay. but
I'm not an expert on it.
Do you know who the experts are?
Malone and Brewer.
And who? And those are the only people you're relying on for advice?
They do all the research. That's why we gave them.
And so even though the research that they utilize is past fact, it's not, no, I'm just suggesting.
I can only go by what the people, I mean, you can give me any topic and I can find something to dispute that both ways. You know that and I know that.
No, I understand that, but sometimes there are facts there's a preponderance of facts, let's say, that mitigate any of the other points of view in terms of...
And I can tell you, we had this discussion, and Malone in this room is willing to put their name behind the research that they've done.
I can't blame them. They're also construction managers and developers.
I urge you to come to the next Board of Finance meeting. It should be on the agenda. Mayor?
Okay, what does that clarify? Is that the regular Board of Finance, or is it one of the budget workshops?
No, it's not a budget workshop. It's going to be the regular Board of Finance. If there may be a special Board of Finance meeting for that, but I doubt it.
Hey, going off that same topic, from what I understand, tell me if I'm wrong, the whole synthetic fields in Bristol was really born out of necessity for additional non-school related facilities for the other sports, for things like the growing lacrosse field, soccer, all that good stuff. So what I understand, that's kind of how the whole conversation started.
Yeah, you're right.
So now we have one at Central, one at Eastern, which doesn't seem to really alleviate that problem. Are we still addressing the original issue, or is that kind of off the table?
We're taking it two different ways. The synthetic fields are going to allow more use because the high school kids are still going to only be using what they do, which they use is typically after school. And then I think there was some Friday night football games in there. Other leagues, whether it's lacrosse, soccer, Little League, whoever, they're still going to be able to use from about, don't hold me to it, it's 4 o'clock on. We're also going to have lights on the field. So those organizations, if they choose to, could rent the field and have lights and continue at night later. So that's on the synthetic field. On the other fields issue, we are still talking about that, how we're going to resolve it. And what we're believing is that by relieving some of the use on those other fields and playing more on synthetic fields, it will allow those fields to recover faster, therefore allowing more time to play. Thank you.
I just do want to thank you and bring in the blues, though, because I think it's a great way to spend your weekend at Muzzy Field watching the ball game.
It's an awesome time. And I don't
Cheap,
think
it's fun,
it's $6, I think. And if you haven't had a chance to come on 4th of July, last year they had an unbelievable 4th of July show. And I'll tell you, when I walked out the Bristol Blues, I'm glad you talked about that for 4th of July, it solidified it all right there when you walk out. On the sidewalk outside, there was a ton of people. They were parked all over the sidewalk watching the fireworks, and that's what we want, people to come down and enjoy it. So it's a great thing. Any other questions? I know you got none of them. Okay.
Give me a minute, that takes me a little longer to process questions.
Well, what, with the synthetics at both fields, is that saving us any money on Muzzy?
Yes, it will.
Well,
It will, because they're not converting the field from the baseball to football anymore and redoing the turf as it gets tore up.
so there'll be no more football at Muzzy once those are done?
That's the plan right now.
Oh, okay, well, thanks, Ricky.
Welcome.
You got the question out for me. As I understand it now, when we build the synthetic fields, if that happens, at the two high schools, the city of Bristol and not the Board of Education will be in charge of the scheduling, the maintenance, repairs.
We are currently working through an agreement between the city of Bristol and the Board of Ed to work jointly on all of them. And we've been having a published meeting, and on that task force is myself, the superintendent, Ed Swinkless, who's the park superintendent, Chris Casson, who's the athletic director of Board of Ed. I'm missing some. Cheryl Freebo.
I'm sure you got competent people in there,
But
right?
we're working on it.
This is story.
We are working.
It's going to get a lot more in the back. That doesn't make sense. The city of Bristol, not the Board of Ed, is going to get...
No, we're working on a form, what Board of Ed was paying before on their football fields, and I'm just going a number out there. If they were paying $30,000 on the football fields, they're going to continue to pay $30,000 on the synthetic fields. Anything above that then will be paid for by the fees to rent the fields. So we're coming up with a formal agreement, and that's one thing the Board of Finance has. Let me also recognize Representative Pavlik just came in. Any other questions?
Yeah, I know this is a tough question for anybody to answer, but maybe and you can answer these. What are you willing to cut in the budget? Because you're going to...
It's too soon to tell. We don't know what we're going to get from the state. We're currently going through our budget process now with the hearings. My direction from the departments in my kickoff meeting was keep your budgets under 2%. Most have come in at that, so have gone over a little over. But it's too soon to know because we still don't know what the state's going to do. The state doesn't know what their state's going to do.
Well, Tom, what we're looking at right now, and I'm assuming you're going to be up leading with the governor and the leaders, but we mentioned the idea last time of structural changes, okay? And part of it includes the contract, but it also included different things regarding services that the state can afford to pay and can't afford to pay. It also had some other ideas on how to bring in revenue, because we need to start becoming a pro-business state, create jobs, create money, because we lost a lot of people going out of the state. So it was a combination of things, and it's not so much anybody has, their ideas are better than others. It's trying to get a hybrid, some kind of common ground, where we have not reached an agreement with. I think we're closer with the governor. Where we've not reached an agreement with is with our Democratic colleagues in terms of the severity of the problem. Because until about a month ago, I was really frankly more worried about the next 2 years than I was this year. This year has just gotten out of control. I think it's going to get worse in April when we get the tax revenues in April. So now we're looking at 3 really, really ugly years. And there is just no simple solution to it. And that's why I'm hoping that people are going to really kind of put their minds together. To give you an idea, if you were to do the governor's proposal, his was 5.75%, proposing cuts across the budget. Right now, after what happened last Thursday, I understand the number is probably closer to 9 or 10%. It would have to be reached in order to be able to reach that goal. So it's pretty bad. And it's not going to be, for sure, it's going to be painful. And it's not going to be short-term. I mean, we've got to come up with something more than just 1 year.
Right. I'm not trying to blame anybody for it.
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying where it is.
Right now, the revenue's not coming in. The gasoline prices dropped dramatically.
And I love that.
And the income, I do, but the income isn't there. The revenue isn't there.
Right.
So that's why some things that's the problem. The income tax is dropping. That's another problem. We're not getting the revenue in to cover all these things. So when
And I believe,
don't cut me.
I believe as mayor of the city, as the 11th largest city in Bristol, Connecticut, the problem we're not getting revenue in is because we have a state that's anti-business. If we attracted the businesses in the town,
That's not true. That's not
if we
true.
attracted the businesses in the town,
That's not true.
GE just left.
I can't write off my receipt when I go to eat lunch at time with a bunch of friends of mine. I can't write off lease my car and charge it to my business. I can't take a refrigerator and charge it to my
The
business.
people that spend the
Give me
money.
the same thing, be fair.
Businesses employ the people that spend the money in our community.
We gotta
Not
be people friendly
businesses.
for a change, not business
Tom,
friendly all the
the
time. Both
reality,
friendly.
but Tom, the reality is this, regardless of how people view it, we are not better off with what's taking place right now.
I agree with you.
Okay, and we know anecdotally that there are several other very large employers, not just large, by the way. I think if you look at 2013 on, you'll see a lot of small,
You know,
medium.
GE blackmailing us, that little,
By the way,
like that.
everybody gets focused on GE. One of the reasons why I think.
And they didn't pay a dime. I paid more than that.
One of the reasons why we're in the position we're in now is not just because some of the big money's left. We've had an awful lot of people leave. Now, I'll give you an example. The governor came out with numbers, and I think it illustrates it very well. Back in 2008, we had 82,000 people or so that earned at least 80,000 or more. Right now, as of 2016, we've recovered 8,000 of those 82,000 jobs.
Right.
Okay?
Exaggerate.
Where
Who's
did
sending
those,
businesses to Mexico?
where did those people go, or where did those jobs go?
Who's
They're not
sending their
here.
businesses to Mexico? Because people go with them.
I'm just asking you.
We can debate this all night, we'll be here all night.
Right, but you said it. You said it first. You said.
And I'll stand by
we're not
what I said.
business friendly.
And I stand by what I said.
We're not people
So,
friendly.
any other questions? John?
Your Honor, when I went to the BDA downtown committee, there was conversation about putting a fast-track bus stop in the parking garage, and the city planner mentioned something about apartment buildings. And there's a lot of talk about referring back to the plan of conservation development, which has to do with sustainable development for Depot Square. So I heard you earlier say we don't know yet about the parking garages. Are you saying
We don't know about a parking garage because, number one, we don't know if we need a parking garage, if the city's going to build it, or perhaps the Bristol Hospital's going to build it and own it. I did have a meeting with a number of officials from the state of Connecticut, and we did meet about talking to them about having a fast-track stop inside of a parking garage to try to get some federal state money to help build the parking garage. We already have the buses here. They're coming in, there's a bus stop in front of the corner where the hospital's looking, there's a bus stop in front of City Hall. So what we talked about was consolidating those bus stops, the state either leasing parking spaces from the city or a private entity who builds it, or them contributing to the build. But we don't know where we're going here, we're waiting to hear from the hospital. The other thing we've had happen since this project started is we've had a number of private developers call us and say, hey, we'll be interested in owning and operating a parking garage, and it's not going to cost the city a dime. So we're looking at a lot of options right now. We're exploring everything. We're leaving no rock unturned.
is that associated with the RFP the city put out for an urban planner for the
The
Depot
urban
Square?
planner is going to be for a downtown, and what that's going to be is to design, we talked about infrastructure, where the road should go, what they should do, where, if we put a parking garage, where that parking garage would be. So that's what we put that out for.
Okay. Definitely going to stick with our own RFP. We're not, is there any consideration with because the Transit Corridor Authority bill is back up, public hearing is Friday. And that's the state offering the same thing that you
No.
put out an
Our
RFP for.
RFP is out. We'll get it back, I believe, in 2 weeks, maybe 3. We'll pick our consultant, and then we'll go from there.
So you're ruling out the Transit Corridor Authority?
That's not even on my radar.
I like music to my ears. Thank
Not even
you.
on my radar.
Okay.
I did get that email, by the way, though.
Okay.
I think I deleted it.
Yes. You made the statement before that this state is anti-business. How do you think, and why do you think the state is anti-business?
We're taxing the hell out of everybody. That's simple, that's it.
Well, don't you think it's about time that big corporations start paying their fair share and paying corporate taxes? You know, because we can debate this all along.
That's a typical union market right there. That's what that is.
It's not. You're the one.
I believe the opposite.
First of all, Mayor, I'm here tonight, okay, as a taxpayer of this city and a resident of this city, born and bred, okay? I asked you a simple question to explain why, okay, and you brought the union in. I mean, you want to go down that road. I didn't even mention it. All I wanted to know why you say that.
I just said it.
Okay.
Because the Democrats who have been controlling the city are taxing the hell out of Connecticut residents. That's why. State residents.
And do you realize that when GE moved to Massachusetts, and I didn't realize this until I read it, okay, is that they're paying like a 12.5% capital gain to go to Massachusetts. Their plan all along was to leave this state. They just found an opening to leave here so they wouldn't come under criticism. And when Witt had the town hall meeting here, I think it was on the 28th of January, my point was that, you know, people have to start paying their fair share. A lot of these corporations have been living high off the hog for years. Now the state is in a problem. We all know the state's in a problem. Nobody's disputing that. But now we ask them to pay a little bit or to help out a little bit, and what they want to do is they want to run away. They want to run away, hide, go someplace else, and get the best.
And the state is also
That's not being corporate responsible.
So they pay more. Forget GE. Any business leaves Connecticut that leaves all those jobs, that loses all those property rentals that are probably going to be lost to the bank, property tax incomes that are probably going to be lost to the bank. You have how many houses empty? So it's a snowball effect.
Sure it is.
That's exactly what it is. This state is anti-friendly business.
Well, let me make one more statement.
We are working twice as hard in the city of Bristol. We are attracting business to the city of Bristol. But we are working twice as hard. How are we doing it? We're being business friendly. I am personally meeting with every person who's interested in coming to Bristol. We have an economic development team that's second to none. I'll put them against anyone in this state. Justin Malley and his team are outstanding. We have different grants. We have enterprise zones. We offer a lot of things for businesses to come in. And we are also working in that office with, and I don't know the name, but Connecticut SECD maybe?
Connecticut Development, you mean state, on the state?
Yeah, state. DECD. No, not DECD. Anyway, there's someone else who gives up grants for small businesses.
Let me make another statement about what is it? Anti-business.
SBAC.
Okay? Back in 1993, for example, businesses in this state were complaining about the high cost of workers' compensation, how they couldn't stay in business because the cost was so high, and they did dramatic changes. First of all, they started back in 1991, okay? They did it in 1993 again, and they did it in 95 to 96. It seems everything that is done for business is never enough. And believe me, I'm not anti-business, because I know that we need these companies in this state to make it thrive. But you know, the bottom line is that they have to cooperate, they have to ante up, and they have to expect to pay a fair share. This is not something new here. Business has been leaving the state since the 80s for various reasons, okay? If you look at Bristol Brass, GE, you know, Bussman, Stanley Works, all these companies left. They went overseas, okay? They offshore their money. This is part of the problem, and I blame politicians on both sides of the aisle for allowing this to happen.
I've heard it. I mean, we've heard it all. Dave, good here?
As a comment, really since 1980, the state of Connecticut is going downhill at the speed of light. And without going into detail and without raising our voice, I will tell you that if people and the companies leaving the state, it's not because the state is friendly to business, just common sense now, Mike. Thank you.
I was just wondering how much are these tax exemptions for all these businesses that come into the town costing the taxpayer itself, me and the people sitting here? How much are we paying to bring these businesses in and be business friendly out of our pocket?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the enterprise zone was set up by the state. We get
No,
reimbursed.
you're enticing businesses in here.
So we are, we're giving grants that are based on how much tax revenue we get in. So from who? From our tax dollars, yes.
Taxpayers, right.
And if it wasn't for those grants, those businesses wouldn't be here. So that means we have to give a little carrot to a company to come to Bristol. And it's a long-term investment, and they're going to stay here. And if they leave, by the way, early, they sign a contract that to pay back that grant.
You mean like Mayor Castro, when he gave 5 years to Aetna to go downtown, and they took the 5 years, then they laid everybody off?
That's your guy, not mine.
But it still wasn't his guy. He didn't lay him off. Aetna did.
That's your guy, not mine. Yes, sir.
No, I was just
I
wanted to...
blame you. I could blame the Republicans for that.
I just wanted to... I'm sorry, I didn't know your first name.
My name's Mike.
Mike. I just wanted to make a comment to what Mike had said. And I understand what you're saying. I work for a large corporation, too. And the problem is, you're saying they have to pay their fair share. They do, and they think they all get that. But Connecticut's been mismanaged for a long time. We have so much here that we don't need. We have redundant agencies. We have people that make a lot of money. And I'm not picking on the state employees. A lot of them, they do their job, they do their thing, they do it well. But what I'm saying is, the companies have to make good business decisions. And the good business decision is to leave here. And that's why they're leaving here. It's not that they don't like Connecticut. But you look at Hartford, for example. I used to work for one of the big insurance companies. People don't realize what you see there now in Hartford for our insurance companies, it's a ghost of what was there. You know where all those jobs have gone? Most of them, Iowa. And why have they gone there? Because they've gone for low taxes. They don't have to have, it's so expensive to operate in New England. Look how much it's not just Connecticut. In the Northeast in general, it is so expensive between the road taxes, the property taxes, the taxes on the buildings, to heat the buildings. And you factor that all in, it is so much more of a smart business decision for these companies to just leave here when they feel that the business climate, I feel this governor's openly hostile to business. And they leave. They just throw their hands up in this. When you see two of the largest tax increases in the state's history, and there's still no money, they got to feel something's wrong, and that's why they're going. And I understand what you're saying, that the companies do have to pay, but after they think they paid enough.
Can I just give you an example of something here? Because this is, I think you put your finger on something. We've heard from a lot of businesses, not me personally, but the leaders the governor have. But I'll give you a concrete example. I mean, there are people who are really stunned about this one particular contract with UConn. And I'll tell you why. And this is why the business community really picked off it. That was a 5-year contract that gave increases of 3.5 to 5.
You got to give a backstory for what you talked
Okay.
about. Not going to hear those.
Okay, on Tuesday, the Budget Committee met to hear about a proposed contract that was negotiated between the state and a UConn union. And it was presented before the committee to be able to approve or not approve. There's nothing to discuss in terms of renegotiating or anything. And this is what was proposed to the Appropriations Committee, the Budget Committee. A 5-year contract for these employees with a minimum raise of 3.5%, up to 5% for 5 consecutive years. Okay, and I don't remember what the other ones were.
It went to 40 hours.
40 hours, right. That was the trade-off. They went from 35 to 40 hours. Okay, now this is what the business community loses their mind over. You have a spread, and the governor said this too, so it's not like I'm making this up. Let's take the lowest number, 3.5% increase. The revenues that we're collecting now and projected to collect moving forward is 1% growth. So you now have a minimum of a 2.5% hole where, okay, the obvious question is, where is the money to pay for what you've just agreed on? In the private sector, you can't just say, okay, here it is, and there's no money, and we hope more money comes in. They have to have the money to make sure it's paid. We've been doing this for a number of years, and right now, people sit there, I'm telling you, I have never in my life been more stunned. It has nothing to do with whether I agree with it or not. It's just simple math. It's simple math. You negotiated something for which you absolutely don't have the money for. Positively. Okay, and yet it's going to go into effect on March 9th, automatically, unless legislature's going to be called back in, which I think they will, because it's that preposterous. It has nothing to do with the union. It's just, you have a responsibility. You're not going to be able to pay for what you negotiated. And that's where the business community gets really teed off. And frankly, the taxpayers get teed off. So I didn't mean to interrupt, I'm sorry.
What? But our fearless politicians up there in Hartford have never voted on a contract. Somewhere along the line, Democrats, Republicans, I don't care, put through a bill or a law saying that they don't vote by a certain date. All the raises that everybody's gotten is automatically approved. That way, you guys don't have to step up and say, no, I don't approve this, or yes, I do. And then the taxpayers can say, why are you approving all these and not vote for you, maybe? It's just like a hidden agenda.
I'll give you an example. I mean, I've done this for 3 years in a row. There's one thing that I truly regret, and I haven't been able to change this in the bylaws, or anything. To me, as a public official, you do it on the local level. We're responsible for budget. This is a very big portion of the budget. These contracts, we should be required, it's our responsibility to vote on these contracts. The executive branch and the unions can negotiate it, but we should be able to have the opportunity to debate it and then vote on it. We have not been able to get that through the current General Assembly, and we have tried for years. To me, I mean, if you can't vote on this, and this represents well over a third of the budget, then what's your responsibility? I mean, I can't just go to you and say, oh, well, I couldn't vote on it. Of course I should vote on it. If I vote on the budget, how can I not vote on this?
They never have.
That's what has to change.
You can't even stop.
That's part of the structural changes back to Tom. That's part of the structural changes. If you want to vote for it, great. If you don't, fine. But at least people will know where we stand on certain issues.
How about the longevity payments? Can you stop that?
But it has been modified. It has been modified.
You're supporting the bill to stop it.
Yeah, I am.
I know you are.
No, but that should have been a discussion. That should have been a discussion when we didn't have the money in the first place.
I know. You're giving money to employees just because they've been there more than 10 years. Really?
Yeah. I'm sorry, maybe this is yours. I can do mine.
Yeah, we can go all day long.
You can stay here, I'll sit down.
Totally off topic. What's going on with Burlington Avenue and Jason Casey? With the first house I know was Blight, but now there's another house.
The state bought that other house as part of putting an extra lane in there.
Okay.
The state bought that last fall.
Oh, okay.
How much did we get?
I have no idea.
That project should stop because we don't have the money. Well, think about it.
Yeah, it's been a way.
We don't have the money. Do we, when we look around in Bristol, and Bristol has been doing it for years.
I would be fine if you want to stop it. We'll flood it. Doesn't bother me.
Please hear me out. If Bristol's been doing it, like every other community in the state of Connecticut has been doing it, every time we want something, we go to the state because it's their money. We don't have to raise taxes at our level. If we all stop doing that, we're going to get that little carrot to do synthetic fields maybe, to do Muzzy Field, to do the boulevard, to do this, to do that. How much money would we stop spending?
I agree.
But Kenny,
I agree.
you'll be the
Ban
first
carrots.
one to call up and say, hey, wait.
You're right, because if Bristol's, the way the system is today, if Bristol doesn't get the money, Plainville's getting it, something's synthetic. So the way the system is today, I'm gonna go get every single penny I can, because another community's getting it. Then why are they voting against the budget all the time?
Oh, that's easy. But I'll say that now.
Any local topics, not state.
Yeah.
You don't get nothing if you vote against.
Well, it winds up being local. Tommy's hitting on a point. It winds up being local because our delegation, 3 of our 4 people vote against the budget. Fine. They're voting with their philosophy. I understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it because that's not the way the game works. But 2 months later, they'll be back up there. Hey, Daniel, can you give us a couple $1 million bucks so we can pave some roads? And Daniel says, well, yeah, because I could use the votes of Bristol. Here we go again.
Daniel doesn't do that, because Daniel's never won Bristol.
You
Maybe $700,000. Pave roads.
You know, I mean, but we do this, unrelated to anything so far. On the corner of Talmadge and Divinity, there's a little corner store, the guy that had a big heroin bust a few months ago.
Yep.
And the guy, I believe, is still in jail, but the business is reopened. Is it possible?
I think he's out.
Is he out? The business was open before he got out, I believe. I'm not
Okay.
100% on that. Is it, in our interest, is it possible to pull permits that lets the store operate? It's not a viable legal business, and it's open still.
I'll check into that. I don't, I'll stop our zoning enforcement officer. There are a few other ones, please. Talmadge and Divinity. Thank you. Anyone else?
$6 million question. You once told me...
Everybody in the room is scared.
Sorry. You once told me you don't want what Renaissance wants for Depot Square, okay?
Well, let me take that back. No. I said I didn't want the Renaissance. The housing component that they wanted.
Okay, so you're stating...
I think I want a walkable downtown, absolutely.
Okay, well, but what about high-density apartments on Depot Square?
That plan they couldn't get money for.
So you're open to it with a new proposal?
Right now, we're looking at everything. Nothing is off the table with that plan.
Okay.
We're looking to
Fair
develop
enough.
the plan that's going to give Bristol the walkable downtown that we all want, maybe except for Sean.
I'm not sure that high-density apartments equates to a walkable downtown that we all want.
You know,
Actually, I'm quite sure it's
We're
not.
also talking right now with another developer that we kind of asked to slow down a little bit. He's ready to move on the other corner, and it's a very large project. And we said, we got to wait. We got to get a consultant on board. We have to see where the roads are going to go. Maybe what you want to build here might be better in a different spot. So we won't know until we get the consultant on board to put the roads in and then talk about what's next. We have at least no less than 3 major developers that since the hospital has announced what they were doing, have contacted us that they want to start construction, they want to do things because they see these people immediately downtown, and Bristol Hospital has given the downtown project a huge shot to get it going.
Down at Ted Main, are they still planning on making those into apartments?
Yes, that deal is
You can't walk from Ted Main up, something's wrong with you.
you're right. And those, they're working on an agreement. Webster Bank owns the building. There's a developer that's, I was just updated last week on that. I thought the deal was dead, but it's not.
Okay.
They're still negotiating, and I think they're going to have a contract fairly soon, from what I'm told. The reason it didn't go through is because they found some contamination on the building, and the abatement would have been ridiculous. So Webster had to do something, so I guess they worked out a deal. I don't know the details of it, but I'm told that the deal is still going through. But until we have a signed contract, what they say means nothing.
I don't know if anybody heard this and that answered this question. If I recall, not too long ago, you had suggested that, or actually made the suggestion that when it comes to major capital expenditures by the city, that you thought that a referendum would be appropriate.
I just asked the charter revision at the kickoff meeting 2 weeks ago. I added that for their charter to look at.
So that's a charter
I've
DNA?
I've asked the charter to look at it, and what they're going to do is they'll decide, number one, if they're going to take it up. If they're going to take it up, what the number for large is. Their number may be different than yours or mine. And then if it does go through, they'll come up with the process to do it. But I've asked the charter to do it.
Okay, so it is a charter question, what was that about?
Well, yes, I have asked the charter to do it. Back then, when we were talking about last year, I was looking at a non-binding referendum. What I've asked the charter to look at is a binding referendum.
Well, let me go to Johnson back to non-binding.
That's the what?
Non-binding, because may infer a suggestion. If there's a non-binding vote for or against a particular capital expenditure by the city, maybe that's something that should be used in the short term until the charter.
Charter revision is going to have their plan done by June, I believe. So they're moving.
Well, and the reason I ask you is that obviously, at least from my point of view, one of my things is the synthetic turf issue, which is going to cost nearly $3 million, 2.94, with all the language and all these other issues. So how soon is that going to be in your timeframe? How soon is that going to be?
I don't even see that. I don't, unless we take money from somewhere else, that money's going to have to be bonded, so it won't happen until the July 1 budget. If that project goes forward. I mean, there's a lot of, it's got to go before the Board of Finance still next month, then they'll decide what's going to happen. If I had to guess, I don't see the Board of Finance voting on it the first night they get it. I see them taking a month, digesting it, coming back with more questions, but that's to be determined. Anything else? I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. This is the first time I've done it. I don't know if last time a mayor did this, and I will be having more. I think it's good to get out and talk about the issues. I'm always available at my Facebook page, Twitter, Mike.
Just a question. Don't mean to interrupt your closing, but I'm curious. How was this highly publicized? The only way I heard about it was through the city council meeting. I didn't see anything in the paper or anything of that nature.
We had it. I said it at the city council meeting.
Yeah.
We had it on Facebook,
Right.
and as you know, I can't control the press.
Right.
And I think Don Statham did something, but I'm not positive.
Because I didn't see it, so
I don't
I didn't
know.
see anything in the press either, so I didn't know.
I think
There's something in the current.
Was there?
But I don't know. But we can control the press.
City obituary.
Oh, yeah, he just said you heard about it on Channel 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm saying meeting. Because I went on the Bristol website, where they list the meetings and everything.
Yeah.
Nothing in there.
Well, it won't be on the Bristol website because this is not a city meeting. It was on the mayor's Facebook page. We can't put it on, it's not a city meeting. I mean, this is the mayor of Bristol doing a town hall forum, but we won't put that on the city as far as the meeting schedule. No.
Well, it wasn't really advertised that well.
Any other questions?
By the way, good comment, and good story when you were on the face of the stage.
Thank you. Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I did too. That was the second time I've been on Face the Stage. Any other questions? Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Good night.
And I gave, hopefully, this comes for
Yeah.